Williams, if you want to go ahead.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our online conversation where Mrs. Brooks, our K through 12 curriculum leader, and myself are here today to share with you some additional information regarding North Hills Online Academy, as well as answer any questions that you may have. And again, my name is Beth Williams, and I have the honor and privilege of serving as the Assistant Superintendent. Before we begin with the Q&A session, what I would like to do is kind of do a quick review of some of the most common questions that Mrs. Brooks and I have been answering for the past several days. In the interim, if you're waiting and you have a very specific question that you want to ask, you are more than welcome to use the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, and you can certainly send your question that way. Mrs. Brooks is going to be kind enough to man that end of it, and then I will probably answer the majority of the face-to-face questions. So the first thing that I wanted to share with you is I just wanted to reiterate that when it comes to looking at what choices you have for your child in the fall with regard to the return to school, I wanted to clarify some different things that you may have seen online. The district has shared with you that we are looking at currently 4 different operating plans for the school year that we may go into or out of, depending on conditions, mandates from the governor, or obviously concerns from the Allegheny County Health Department and such. Those 4 operating plans are traditional, blended, hybrid, and virtual. Those operating plans are selected by the district. The district will make the determination at the August 10th, I believe, or August 6th board meeting as to what operating plan that we will begin the school year. Those are district decisions. Parents then have the right to make a choice as to whether or not they want to enroll their student in North Hills Online program. So I just wanted to make sure that you understood, because I think there was some confusion about whether parents could pick a hybrid option or things such as that. You cannot. You either choose to enroll your child in North Hills Online Academy, or you would send your student back to school, quote unquote, dependent upon the district operating plan. The other thing that I wanted to share with you about the North Hills School District online program is that it is available for all students in grades K through 12. Students can enroll in the program at any time, but I know we're getting a lot of questions as to why we're really asking you to enroll as close to August 10th as possible. The reason we have this date in mind for us is because it allows us to ensure that every single student is enrolled, and that we're able to line up all the classes and do all the things that we need to do behind the scenes so your student is ready and able to go the first day of school in the online academy. Now, having said that, I certainly know with this fluid time and everything changing that some of you may be waiting a couple of more minutes or a couple of more days before you make that enrollment decision. We understand that and we appreciate that. But from a scheduling component, it would help us tremendously if you were able to enroll by August 10th so we can do things behind the scenes. Again, if you don't enroll until August 15th, we will certainly continue to facilitate those requests and address and handle those situations as they come up. Also, when you enroll, you must fill out the North Hills Online Academy enrollment form that is located online. You will receive a confirmation email from us saying your son or daughter has been successfully enrolled into the online academy. The other point that I wanted to make to you is the curriculum, whether it is our face-to-face curriculum that's offered in our school buildings or whether it's the online curriculum in the entire state of Pennsylvania, is aligned to state standards. What we teach children is actually standards. It is lessons based around specific skills and knowledge that we want them to acquire in order to be successful. So regardless of whether the curriculum in the schoolhouse, the in-person learning, looks a little bit different than it does in Accelerate Educate, the goal of all education in the state of Pennsylvania is for students to acquire the skills and learning as it relates to those standards. So there is a little bit of a difference between what would occur in the school versus what the Accelerate Educate looks like, from the standpoint that North Hills School District in person might choose to read this novel or this story or use this textbook, while Accelerate Educate might choose to read the other novel, the other textbook, the other story. But again, they are both aligned to the state standards. So that allows students, if they wish to enter into the online academy and enroll in that and know they're meeting those same standards as a traditional in-person student is. It also allows, at the end of a 9-week period, if you wish to move your child back into in-person instruction, for that still to occur because those same standards have been taught and been met. We also in the online program can accommodate students who have IEPs and GIEPs. Certainly those documents continue to stay with your son or daughter, and then we would look at them to see what those accommodations and adaptations are and how appropriate they are for an online learning program. For instance, perhaps in the IEP or the GIP, you have preferential seating when you're in a traditional classroom. Obviously, preferential seating would not be the same when taking online classes. So we would look to see what we can go ahead and replicate and offer in an online environment. If there were any concerns of that, as you all know, if you have your child has a GIP or an IEP, we can open those documents at any time through the course of an IEP or GIP team meeting and look at addendums or different additions to those documents. All K through 12 students in the district will receive an iPad, and yes, our online program can run on the iPad as the courses or the programming from Accelerate Educate is web-based. The biggest question that we continue to receive or hear from parents about is the level of interactivity that we're looking at in the online program. I'll be very candid with you. Most online programs are asynchronous in the sense that all the instruction is embedded in that specific lesson. There's typically a video in there. There can be a voiceover into that lesson. There's guided practice. There's independent practice. There's assessment checks. It is embedded into that lesson. As you know, in grades 7 through 12, at North Hills, we do have North Hills School District teachers teaching those classes. They are assigned to teach those classes and they can interact with students. We have never had K through 6 or elementary teachers teach our online academy classes because quite frankly, in the 15-year history that we have had this in the district, we have had very, very few students at the elementary level enroll in online. In fact, last year, I believe we had 3 students total. So we would typically use our vendor, in this case, Accelerate Educate, licensed elementary teachers to teach those courses. We are working diligently behind the scenes to talk with our staff and have those conversations at central administration about looking into the feasibility of having our elementary teachers teach our elementary online classes. I know that is not the definitive answer that you want from me right now. I promise those conversations are starting to come to fruition. And as soon as that information is available, I will again do yet another presentation or another webinar where I will share that information with you. So I apologize for not being able to give you that definitive answer, but please stay tuned. We just want to make sure that we're doing everything correctly behind the scenes to set our students and our staff members up for success. For those of you who may have a high school student, I know there's been questions about honors courses, AP courses, and CHS courses. Let me speak specifically to CHS courses. CHS courses are college and high school courses. We're at the mandate of that university that is affiliated with that course. Whatever that university decides to do or whatever directive they give us is how we will present that course. So at this point in time, I can't tell you, yes, a CHS course, this is going to be online. It will not be offered. A CHS course cannot be offered through Accelerate Educate because, again, we have articulation agreements with those universities, so we have to follow what their mandate is. Honors courses, yes, if you have an honors course on your schedule, I urge you to reach out and speak with Mr. Lesjak. He is the assistant principal at the high school. He can speak to you about honors courses. There are enrichment activities and assessments embedded in these courses, and they are at a caliber as such that if we go ahead and allow your child to engage in those rigorous enrichment activities, those could be provided for honors credit. So if you have honors credits, classes on your schedule, please reach out to Mr. Lesjak. He will be more than happy to talk to you about that because that's basically a high school scheduling issue. AP courses. At this time, the current high school course catalog through Accelerate Educate does not offer AP courses. Having said that, I still would like you to reach out either to Mr. Lesjak or Mr. McKiernan in the event that you are interested in that. We really are trying to take a look at how many students would be interested in enrolling in those types of courses. So if we do, or if we can offer AP courses online, we are certainly willing to take a look at that, but we really need to look at see how many students that would be impacting or affecting. A lot of questions on when can I transition out of the online academy. Let's say you're on it in the online academy for the first 9 weeks. At the end of the 9 weeks, you decide you want to send your student back into the school building. Are you allowed to do that? Yes, you can transition out of the online academy at the end of a 9-week period. And the other question we have is transitioning back into the regular classroom. So let's say I'm a 3rd grade student, the end of the 9 weeks comes, I was in the online academy. What does it look like for me transitioning back into a 3rd grade classroom? Is that going to negatively impact class size? We are working very, very carefully with our building principals to look at our enrollment numbers and to look at class sizes. North Hills School District is very much committed to ensuring that we are going to continue to adhere to our class size policy to the greatest extent possible. So again, we can accommodate that transition back in at the end of a 9-week period into the classroom. And again, every single effort possible will be made to ensure that your son or daughter is going into an appropriately sized class. Last but not least, if you have not been checking out the website with regard to the online academy, we have been adding updated frequently asked questions. I believe we updated it 2 or 3 times yesterday, and there have been 2 previous Q&A sessions that Mrs. Brooks and I have hosted with the help of Mrs. Pellet. So if you have not had an opportunity to watch them, I would urge you to do so, because while there have been some similar questions, there has been some different questions asked in every single session. So if you have the time, it is valuable to go ahead and watch those and see if you can, garner some more information regarding, making a very, I know, important and choice in a very, very challenging time. So that is my introductory spiel. At this point in time, as I said, Mrs. Brooks is going to work behind the scenes as much as possible and answer your Q&As. And certainly if it's something that I need to answer, she'll read that question to me so I can answer it. And I believe Mrs. Pellet is going to give you directions in the event that you would have a specific question that you would like to ask us. So thank you for your patience as I had to get through my announcements, and we look forward to speaking with you.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you elaborate on the attendance policy at the elementary level for the online academy?
That is one thing that we are working on, and the attendance policy is as such. The expectation is obviously just like regular school, that your child is logging in every single day and that they are completing lessons. The flexibility in going on the online academy into that is, let's say, for instance, your child is at a caregiver's that day during the day because you yourself are out working and things as such, and they can't log on maybe till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's okay as long as they're logging in and they're taking the time. What is very nice for us to see and parents to see is you can see exactly when your child has logged in, and you can see how much time they're spending on every single assignment. So we do go in, and we have for 15 years, into our online academy students' attendance, and we're looking to see if they're logging in every single day, and we're looking to see how much time they're spending on assignments, just so we can gather what's going on behind the scenes. Sometimes that's invaluable information because they're displaying mastery. They're learning the information very quickly, which is great. Sometimes if they're spending a long time in there, that might mean they're struggling a little bit. We need to reach out and offer some more help. So again, the expectation is that kids are logging on every single day. There will not be on the online academy an attendance portal. It doesn't necessarily look like that. In the same sense, we are working behind the scenes as to how we would track attendance. So please stay tuned as we continue to move that forward. That will be forthcoming as well.
And the online academy does follow the North Hills schedule.
Yes.
And I do have a question here about attending a different cyber school. And just to make sure I'm correct with my answer, a student cannot attend 2 schools at one time. If they're attending another cyber school, they're unenrolling from North Hills, going into that cyber school. And if they want to come back to North Hills, they have to unenroll in that cyber school and re-enroll as a North Hills student.
Yes.
Okay. That should answer the question.
Any
Okay,
other-
so we'll take some live questions now, or, we'll bring somebody up to speak. So let's see, Donna Roberts, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Ms. Roberts. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you again for allowing this opportunity to get some of our questions answered. I actually had a couple questions for you. One, Mrs. Brooks did respond to, but I think I need to expand that a little bit.
Okay.
I had asked about if there was anybody available for kids that have IEPs that we can contact and discuss the IEP and how the Cyber Academy would, I guess whether it's
meetings.
yeah, and well also, and if it would be an option, if they thought it was a good option or a good fit for this child. She said to talk to the special ed, but I wasn't sure if they're working over the summer.
They are not working yet. They are not back. So if you had specific questions, Mrs. Roberts, Dr. Bazilla, who's the Director of Pupil Services, would be more than happy. If you sent her an email, and I'm not sure if you have her email address, it is certainly on the website, she would be more than happy to have a conversation with you with regard to that. She can pull up that documentation. Again, she is the Director of Pupil Services. That is not a problem. If you want to email her, I know she will reach out and contact you prior, obviously, to our teachers and our special educators returning back to work.
Okay, thank you. And the other question was, is as much as we would love, obviously to send our child into person, family members with compromised immune systems kind of are causing a problem with that. I know that they can choose to go into the in-person classroom for specific classes. And one of the options I was thinking was potentially sending him for just his learning support classes, because those classes do tend to be on a much smaller scale. If he would go in for those in-person classes and it just isn't working, like we're not finding that, we're either finding that it's too many kids or it's too disruptive, or I have to go back to in-person work or something, do they have the option to go back in full time into the Cyber Academy?
Yes. I mean, ideally, that's not what we like to see happen because we like the continuity of education, but I certainly can appreciate what you're asking, Ms. Roberts. So if I'm understanding your question correctly, your son or daughter would be going into school, let's say for 2 classes face-to-face. They would be taking the additional classes online. 2 weeks into it, let's say you decide this is not working, we want to go ahead and make that transition. Can we do so? Yes, you would need to contact your school counselor so they could give us the information. So we could enroll them in the other classes, the online classes. But understand this, that might take us a day or two to get those classes enrolled, like the logistics behind the scenes for us to go ahead and turn around. That might take us 36 hours to do that. So it's not automatic. If you call me Monday at 1 o'clock, I cannot promise you that Tuesday morning by 8 o'clock, those classes are going to appear in your son or daughter's account. It might take us a little bit of time, but yes, we would certainly work with that. Because again, our goal is to provide the very best educational experiences that we can. So if we need to do that, we will certainly be able to facilitate that. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that completely understand that everything takes time. Now, if it was opposite, if we would decide to just try and do all 4 with any modifications for the IEP, and we find that's not working and we opt to go ahead and have him come in school, the same thing, it would just take a little bit of time to get that transitioned?
That one is a little bit more difficult. That's the one where I'm saying if you're enrolled in the online academy and you start the year, we really want you to remain in the online academy for 9 weeks because it's very difficult and challenging. It's much easier for us to put you in the online academy, believe it or not, than it is to take you out of it and then get your schedule, get your needs met. So
I'm sorry.
Where
I meant just for those 2 classes.
So if they were taking them online and then you wanted them to go in face-to-face, that
Correct.
would be something else that we would need to talk about with regard to IEP, because again, that affects, as you're saying before, the class size, the different things we are setting up with regard to that. So I think we want to be really mindful what we're doing here in the continuity of education. So I think your best place is to start with Dr. Bazilla and let's really dig in to the IEP and let's really talk about what online looks like and what accommodations and adaptations to hopefully give you the information so you can make the best possible decision that you can. And then we will continue to move through that. As I said before, the IEP and the GIP is going to kind of help guide us. So I will be more than happy to work with Mrs. Bazilla or Dr. Bazilla with that as much as possible. Okay?
Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Have a great day.
Dr. Williams, I do have a question for you regarding class size for the online academy. I know can you speak to that?
Sure. Class sizes, at the elementary, we will continue to use the class size policy. So if the class size policy for your child happens to be in a face-to-face classroom is 24, it would be the same class size policy at the elementary. We would keep to that number, obviously, because we want to make sure that the class size is appropriate and what that's going to look like. At the secondary, it is pretty much the same thing. It is not necessarily the class size policy, it's how many sections that we would offer. So certainly we would like to keep those class sizes at a manageable number. We would like to keep them fairly similar to what we offer face-to-face at the high school. But if we get more kids than we think is possible to be able to be effective in an online environment, we would simply open up another section of that. So again, our goal is not to jam 31 kids in an online venue or an online class. Our job is obviously to balance those needs, whether it's online or it's traditional. We would look at that, and we would look at that from a scheduling perspective from the building principal. But again, we will try and balance those needs and stay as close to class size policy as possible.
I'm going to take another question from, okay, great. Sarah Brewer, are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you
Hi,
hear me?
Ms. Brewer, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So I have two questions now. The first one, when you speak of class sizes on online, does that depend on like to each teacher? Because they're not actually going to be in a class with other students, right? This is all coursework that they'll do. There'll never be a time where they have to show up. And like even last spring in the virtual, every once in a while there was like a noon Zoom meeting for English class or something. So that what does a class size have to do with the online?
I think just the concern is the accessibility with the teacher, because again, if you have
Okay.
4 or 5 students in a class and someone wants to reach out to that teacher, certainly I'm talking specifically at this point right now to 7 through 12 because it is a North Hills teacher. If they have that in their schedule and that time period is identified and they want to send out a request to everyone in that classroom and say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to be available via Zoom in the event that you would have questions, they do have the right to do that. Teachers can make those decisions and choices, but those would be well communicated out. There's not going to be a surprise with regard to that. So I think a lot of that is coming from what is the communication time? What's the turnaround time? It is very, very quick and online. You don't send an email and then we just ignore you for 72 hours and then someone gets back to you. I would say easily within a 24-hour period, you would hear from someone. And I think that is a very lengthy amount of time. I think you would probably hear the same day that you sent out that request.
Right. No, that makes sense. That's what I thought.
Sure.
Okay, so when I was reading the courses, it said art and music. So I will have a 4th and a 5th grader. Will there be art and music courses?
That is a fabulous question. That's one of the ones behind the scenes. Accelerate Educate's curriculum focuses tremendously on the core classes, math, science, social study, and English.
Right.
Because if you go traditional face-to-face, the majority of the day is spent on math and ELA. So we are looking at whether or not we can offer, quote unquote, the art and the music and what that's going to look like. Art definitely, I think, is doable. But again, that is going to be dependent upon whether it's an Accelerate Educate teacher or whether it's a North Hills teacher. Because again, we've made schedules for this year already to a certain degree with regard to teachers. So now we have to look at what the feasibility is if they are teaching online classes as well, what that looks like. So as those conversations, I know this is the answer that no one wants to hear because it's not definitive.
I know.
As those conversations come to an end, I will be able to share all this information and say, this is exactly what's available. This is exactly what it's going to look like. This is exactly who is teaching what. and we're hoping to get that information to you in the very, very near future, because I know you're trying to make a really important decision.
Yes. Just one more question that went along with Anna Roberts. In the gifted program, so they are absolutely, they can go to the school for that hour and 15 minutes or hour and a half now, twice a week or whatever it is, just to sit in their gifted class. Like we go to Westview, so it would be Mr. Richter. And as long as I can transport them, that's totally fine. I like that idea because the classes were small. They were just a few kids usually. And then you're saying it was harder to assume you're going to the school because it's easier to say, hey, we don't want to go to the school anymore. Can you add an enrichment through the courses online?
Sure.
So start out. Okay.
And there is,
I wanted to make sure of that.
I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. There is that enrichment
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
process we can add in to each course to meet their academic need. Absolutely. But again, I also know, particularly at the elementaries, that there is pull-out time for GATE. And in that, they are using critical thinking skills. They are using a lot of application-based skills, and they're doing that teamwork and that collaboration, and they're working together. There is a tremendous value in that. So if parents feel that that's very, very important, you are more than welcome to attend that. What we need to do is make sure that we are communicating that with your elementary principals. So in your case, Ms. Brewer, that would be Mr. Simpson. You will want to let Mr. Simpson know, hey, my son or daughter is going to be online for everything. I'd like them to attend their pull-out period. So he can give you those specific times, because I'm not sure if they change. I'm assuming they do based upon and when they meet. So you would have those specific times for transport, and then he would be able to share with you, okay, here's what happens when they come in. We would have your son or daughter, quote unquote, sign in the office, so we know they're here. Then when they're exiting, they would sign back out, so we know that they've safely left the building. And we know they have a mask on and all those different things that would have to come. So you would just need to share that with Mr. Simpson. And then he would probably direct you to work straight with Mr. Richter, and then you guys could plan that out. But if that's something you want to do, we are more than happy to facilitate that.
Well, it's because of the smaller class size. I want them to have music. I mean, the core subjects are so important, obviously, but it's all the other things that they're missing out on that are really going to make the difference. So if they can go to GATE, that would be nice, because they could feel normal for, like, you know, a couple times a week and see their friends.
Absolutely. And that's why I think parents are very excited about the option about they can take some things online, traditionally the core courses at elementary, and then they could bring them back in if they wanted to for art or music or for GATE, to have that touchstone, to be able to interact with other kiddos, certainly to see their teachers, like you said, that feeling or sense of normalcy, as long as it can be done, obviously, following the CDC guidelines, which we're all about doing, obviously. So that's why we're kind of very pleased to be able to offer that opportunity for kids and for parents.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's nice to see you, Ms. Brooks. I talked to you the other day.
Have a great day.
I have a question here about extracurricular activities at the middle school.
Yes.
I know the students are permitted to come in for band, but with school clubs, are we running school clubs still?
Yes, it depends on what's going on in the building. Obviously, we have to look at school clubs, because again, a lot of the school clubs, particularly at the middle school, occur during your activity period or your homeroom period. So I think we need to look at what those school clubs look like, because we need to look at sizes and how many kiddos are in those clubs and things such as that. So we would have to look at that and see if that can still occur. And then if you're talking about additional after school activities, let's say perhaps they belong to on the school yearbook staff, different things that can occur. I know you have the service club at the middle school and things such as that. Would we be amenable to that? Absolutely, we would not have a problem with that, as long as those clubs and activities can continue to meet following the guidelines established by the CDC.
Okay, we're going to pull up the next person to talk. Julie Yacovello.
Hi, Mrs. Iacovella, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you hear me okay?
You sure can. What can I answer for you?
Okay, I hope I can convey this clearly, my question, or just for clarification. The North Hills Online Academy, if I have this proper in my mind, they do, I know that the state of Pennsylvania dictates a common core curriculum. So it's all has to be the same, right? I mean, and what I am understanding about the online academy is that it's this Accelerate Educate is kind of a company that follows the Pennsylvania state standards for curriculum, scope and sequence that parallels North Hill School District. And this Accelerate Educate provides those educational opportunities as following the curriculum as dictated by the state of Pennsylvania. So labs or things students have to read, or maybe there's embedded videos of a teacher teaching that is probably employed by Accelerate Educate. And then this is where I need clarity. I just want to make sure this is all right in my mind. And then what the North Hills teachers do, they're kind of like facilitators, and there's a window of comfort that teachers, I don't know if these are the right words, that can provide that is appropriate depending on the class that they're facilitating. So I just want to be clear that that is accurate. It's a curriculum that is online, that is taught online to meet needs of families. And the North Hills teachers aren't really the primary instructors. They're not coming up with the activities, they're facilitating those activities. And so when parents are asking questions about, will we have Zoom meetings and will we have whatever, we have to understand, if I'm correct, that it's this Accelerate Educate that's providing the education, and the North Hills teachers are facilitating, and that teacher may choose to have a Zoom meeting, or that teacher may not. They may be available through email, but that period that you're referring to, that the teacher would be kind of overseeing that online academy, they really are a facilitator, not a direct instructor. Is that fair?
That is very correct. So it is definitely Accelerate Educate's curriculum. They have written the curriculum for us. As you said, it's aligned to the standards. Absolutely, this is what it looks like. And our teachers are the facilitators of that curriculum. They are there to provide guidance. They are there to answer questions. They may choose, as you said, to interact in Zoom. They'll give you all of that information once that course starts as to how they're going to communicate. But that is 100% correct. You can come sit in my chair if you'd like to, because you did a great job answering that question.
I just wanted, because I see a lot of questions in the Q&A stream that parents, it seems like to me that they want to know, is this going to be different than when we went on COVID lockdown kind of, and are my kids going to get to see a person? Are they going to be direct instruction by person? And I feel like as a parent, I also am an educator, but I kind of I feel like if I'm understanding this properly, it is not going to be like in person where your child logs on and they're going to have a video every day, a live video feed of your child's teacher that they have in school necessarily. This is a separate online school that North Hills probably purchases this program to house or whatever it is, but it is legitimate. It is a parallel curriculum, but I just think it's important that teachers that parents understand that it's facilitated by a North Hills teacher, that it's certainly available to answer and help with questions or maybe they will have Zoom meetings, but it's a maybe. It's whatever they're comfortable with. And it's a nice opportunity if distance is important to those families.
And I think if you watch the video where we did the overview of the courses, there is a video that Mrs. Brooks and I did last week which was an overview of the courses that showed exactly that. It showed a lesson inside. We answered those specific questions with regard to that. So if you have not watched that first video that we did, it is not the Q&A video. It is literally, I basically think, Mrs. Pellet, please correct me if I'm wrong, it is an overview entitled that it's an overview of the courses. I urge you to watch that video. It is not very long, but we show an elementary, a middle school, and a high school course. We show some of the core classes, math, science, social studies, and English, so people can see exactly what those courses look like and what is embedded in each of those lessons. We felt that was very important to literally show an actual course and the structure in that. So I would encourage you to do that if you haven't had a chance to watch that video.
I haven't, and thank you. That will be helpful. One other question I have about my high school age child is registered currently for CHS classes. And I know you answered the question also through the stream that those are not part of this Accelerated Educate online academy.
Yes.
But a parent had asked if our high school child could enroll at CCAC to take a college level course. So my question with that is, I know CCAC, it's open enrollment. They'll take anybody who wants to take a class, you know, that's fine. But will North Hills accept the credit of whatever classes? Like, is there a list of approved classes that North Hills will accept transfer-wise from a CCAC type of a place?
We do have a dual enrollment program with CCAC. That is in the high scale program of studies. So again, in that specific situation, what I would do is I would contact Mr. Leschak, whether it's via email or Mr. McKiernan via email, and they can answer those questions specifically regarding that. But we do have a dual enrollment agreement. That is not a problem. I think they will be more than happy to work with you to help make sure that you know what classes are accessible and available. But I think you would want to call them specifically, as that comes out of their building and their schedule.
Okay. Those are all my questions. Thank you for what you're doing, and I appreciate this opportunity. So nice job.
So much. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Doctor, I have a question here regarding transitioning into elementary. And the question is, are they guaranteed a spot in their current school building? Or
Yeah.
are they, okay?
Yes, I
And
had that question before. So if you are a McIntyre student, for example, and you go online for the first 9 weeks, at the end of that 9 weeks, you wish to transition back into the school building, will you go back to McIntyre? Yes, unless for some reason there would be this influx of, you would ask for a residency exemption or something along those lines. Yes, if you were McIntyre, you're going to stay at McIntyre. I don't anticipate that ever changing.
Okay, Jessica O'Brien.
Hi,
Hi, Miss O'Brien. How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. What can I answer for you?
Good. Well, you had, I emailed you before about attending GATE for my daughter.
Okay, attending GATE. I'm
yeah.
sorry. Is that what you
Yeah,
said?
I'm sorry.
No,
Yes.
that's okay. Okay.
But, and I was listening, I came in whenever you were talking about coming in during GATE. But my question was, you know, if we wanted the art and music components as well, is there any way to coordinate that so that we're not going in and out of the building, in and out for every course?
The only courses that we offer through the North Hills Academy at elementary are going to be your core courses, and I believe there's an art course on there. So those are the only courses that we are able to offer online at this time. There's no other courses that we have. Again, however, you do have that option if you wish to, because specials occur so many times every 6 days, if I'm remembering
Right.
from my elementary days. You do have the opportunity to go ahead, if you'd wish to bring your children into school for that. That's where it's at right now. Certainly we are in communication, Mrs. Brooks and I, with Accelerate Educate. I would say pretty much daily, checking to see what we can do. I can double, quadruple check if there's any other courses offered at the elementary level, but I believe the emphasis again is on those core classes. But I can definitely look. I don't have a problem looking again to see if there's any additional courses that we can add.
Okay. So if I wanted her to come in for GATE, would I be able to coordinate it with the music teacher and say, hey, we do GATE this day. Can we also make sure that music is, you know, like one right after the other or before the other?
That is building-based schedules. So while I'd love to tell you that I could block those off and say, yes, your child's going to be able to go in and have music first period, second period is going to be 8, third period is going to be art. That is really a building-based schedule. They're making that schedule based upon the, 100 and so students that they have in front of them and what that has to look like. So I cannot align those schedules perfectly. That's why if you're choosing to bring your child in, I'm saying you're going to need to contact back either your building principal, counselor, and find out what those time slots are. So then you as a parent can make obviously whatever decision fits best for your ability to transport. Okay?
And so we coordinate when we say we're doing online academy, but we want her to come in for GATE and music, then we need to get in touch with the counselor.
Right, but there is no guarantee that they can schedule them back to back. Whatever the schedule is made, they're going to tell you, Mrs. O'Brien, yep, she's going to have GATE from 9 o'clock till 10 o'clock, and then her music is going to be on Tuesday and Thursday from 1 o'clock to 1:45. then it's up to you to make the decision of saying, yes, we're going to come in for both gate and music. These are the days and times that we will be arriving based upon the schedule that you've given to me. And then that's how you're coordinated. Did that explain a little bit better?
Yes, so then we do that with the principal and or the counselor.
Or the
Okay.
school council. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're
It's very-
welcome. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too, thanks.
Okay, there's nobody else with their hand raised at the moment.
Here, I have some questions if we want to start going through them.
Sure.
Okay, I think we need some clarification with this. Okay, there's some confusion with hybrid and the hybrid option that we offer through the Online Academy. Once a student goes into the North Hills Online Academy, it doesn't matter what the color is or what the operating plan is for the school. You are in the Online Academy. You follow your calendar, you get your work done.
Correct.
Where it might change is if you are part of the Online Academy and you want your child to go into school, say for an art class, say for a French 4 class, say for a calculus class, that class that they're going into the school for will be affected by the operating plan. So if the school goes virtual, then your band class is virtual, your French class is virtual. But what you're doing in the Online Academy, you just stay the course.
Correct. And that's why it's important, if you were in the Online Academy and let's say you're only registering face-to-face for 4 classes online and you wish to go into the building for the other 3 classes, correct? That's the option that you have. When those 3 classes are meeting is scheduled by the building administration and then will be determined by the building plan. So that will play into only those courses that you would be going into the building face-to-face. That's why it's imperative that you reach out to the building principal, assistant principal, or your school counselor to get that information as to exactly when those classes meet, what day, what time, so you can adjust accordingly as our operation plan adjusts accordingly. What other questions do you have, Mrs. Brooks?
Will, I'm assuming this is an elementary class or an elementary question. Will parents have 2 parent-teacher conferences each year?
They will continue to have parent-teacher conferences, yes, even online, yes.
Okay.
And certainly can request those. If they would need to have an additional meeting, they could reach out to the teacher, and certainly that would be up to that teacher to facilitate those needs. But yes, parent-teacher conferences will still occur.
Okay, this question here is a very, very long answer, and it will just be easier if I answer it this way.
Okay.
It's a question about how much interaction is necessary, required by the learning coach. Now, the learning coach can be anybody, any adult. It could be another child, an older child. And the learning coach is just there to help the elementary student. Now, depending upon the activity, depending upon the course, depending upon the age of the child, all depends upon how much interaction the learning coach will have to provide. It's just like doing homework. There are some days your children come home, you don't even realize they have homework. It's done, no tears, packed up, ready to go, they understand it. Then other days there's these major meltdowns because they're lost and you need to help them a little bit more. So if you do go online and you have a young child, does that mean that you are there attending kindergarten all over again and spending another 4 to 6 hours daily? No. You probably will just have to show them in the beginning how to navigate. But I think our kids are a little bit more tech savvy than we give them credit for at times. And once you show them this is how you log in and this is how you navigate your course, it's really self-explanatory. You know, they might ask you a question here or there, but I think they're going to be okay.
And that instruction is scaffolded because our goal as teachers, whether it's a traditional classroom in person or whether it's online, it is building those skills. So we don't just you know, throw them out there and say, go get it. We expect you to do X, Y, and Z. And that's embedded those lessons and taking them through that. I like how you mentioned, Mrs. Brooks, the how-to videos at the beginning.
Yes.
Every single course has a how-to video. For lack of a better word, it's, okay, I forgot, oh my gosh, I forgot how to submit an assignment. There's a quick tutorial in there where you would know how to do this. I want the story read to me. I don't want to have to read it. I want it read to me. I read it myself, but I want it read to me. How can I have it read to me? All of those questions are answered, and parents and students have access to that video, right? Regardless, that never disappears. It's always in the course, correct?
Correct. Now, I am getting numerous questions about live teaching, and here is a problem with the live teaching. Not every student is coming from the same home environment. There are some parents that are home with them. There are some parents that are home, but they're working from home. There are some kids that going to grandma's house. And to require that a certain time, the whole entire class has to log in at 10 o'clock is not feasible for all students.
And I think I mentioned this, and I'm sorry if I did not do a clear enough job at my beginning statements. Most online programs are more asynchronous, meaning that the instruction is pre-recorded. There are videos embedded inside of that. So again, if you're in a unit or you're in a module or a lesson and there is a story that needs to be read, there's going to be a video embedded into that where they're going to click on that and you're going to read that the story is going to be read. They can read aloud and what that's going to look like. So the instruction is embedded. And again, if you're not sure of what that looks like in Accelerate Educate, please, please, please go back out and watch the overview video where we literally gave example lessons and showed kindergarten, middle school, and high school. We went into a unit and said, this is what a lesson would look like. Here's how it's organized. Here's what the framework looks like. Here is a literal lesson, and we logged in and we showed you different things. I think that's the easiest way to see that. But if you are expecting a teacher to log in every single day and be live, that is not the way this is designed. It is not. There is recorded instruction embedded into that. And again, we will continue to share more and more as we continue to move forward in our conversations and our dialogue. Do you have any other questions? That I don't think we have any other hands raised, Mrs. Brooks. So there are other ones that we can answer for you?
Yeah, just give me 1 second here.
Sure.
Okay. Sorry. How are the PSSAs taken? If you go to the online academy, you need to come in for the PSSAs. As for the PSSA scores, the students that have been part of the North Hills Online Academy, now remember, this has been around for since 2006. Our PSSA scores are very good for those students that have been attending online. Definitely cannot see a difference between those that went to brick and mortar and those that went to the online program. As the online,
I have a question. I'm in there with you too.
yeah, okay.
I have a question is, how does grading work for the online academy? Are assignments graded the same way in school, and are the grades posted in PowerSchool Live? They're graded the same way. Whatever the assessment is, the teacher in the online academy will go ahead and grade those questions or grade that assessment for you. There is a separate grade book that they will use in the online academy. You have access to that. You will be able to see every single submission that your student gives, every single grade. And then what we will do is we will transfer the final grade at the end of the 9 weeks into PowerSchool so it can go out on the student's report card. So again, if you enroll in the online academy, you will use the Accelerate Educate gradebook. So you're not toggling back and forth as to what that needs to look like. I have a question about, there is a significant situation. You know what, I'm going to answer that one. Type that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Will she come in for the Keystones? I have a question. Yes, yes. If they need to come in for Keystones, if they need to come in for those testings, absolutely. Trust me, the school will contact you, whether it's the middle school or high school, if they need you to come in for Keystones or if it's PSSAs, they will definitely be in touch to speak with you with regard to that.
We do have one hand raised, Dr.
Okay.
Williams. Jessica Kenbach.
Hi, Miss Kenbach. How are you?
Hello, I'm good. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you too.
Sorry if this is repetitive.
That's okay.
Sorry if this is repetitive. I just want to make sure, like, I basically have until August 10th to make this decision, right?
You do. And wow, like I said,
Can you hear me okay?
to tell you August 10th, Jess, is hard and fast, and we are not accepting any more applications. The reality
Right.
of this is this situation is changing and so fluid. We
Yes.
understand if a parent can't make a decision or makes one decision and then comes back to us August 20th and says, no, guess what? I want to enroll them. Having said that, it does take time for us logistically behind the scenes to set everything up. So
Yep.
if we get a bunch of enrollments at the last minute, August 24th, I cannot promise you that everything will be ready to go the next day on August 25th. If you wait till the 11th hour on the 24th to enroll, I cannot promise you you're going to wake up and your classes are going to appear there. It will take some time to enroll, particularly if we become overwhelmed at the end as we get closer to school. But yes, if you want to enroll August 15th, absolutely we will accept that. Again, for the logistics, planning, everything that we're trying to do, the sooner we know, the better it is for us. So we can
Right.
prepare your students to be ready for the first day.
Understandable. And then if my son is enrolled, and I find out the 9 weeks is awful or whatever, I can reassess after the 9 weeks, right?
Yes.
Yes, at the end of the 9 weeks, absolutely. If that becomes to the point where you're saying, look, we tried this,
Yes.
it went okay, but I'm not real happy. I'd like them to transition back into school. Yes, that can occur at the end of any 9 weeks period. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you both so much.
Good to
Appreciate
talk
it.
to you. Take care. Any other questions?
Did you see the 3 that are there?
Yes, I'm answering one. I don't know if you can see
Okay.
the answer.
No, I can't.
Okay, I'm going to take care of this. So I'm going to answer that. And we've had, I think there's a question about the online academy. We had a panel of why we chose this program. We had a panel of teachers, school administrators, and school board members sit down and run through these courses with us to obviously make sure that this is something that we wanted. The only reason we left our last provider is because actually they left us. Their business model went into a different direction. So this is the reason we had to look to a new vendor. We're very excited with Accelerate Educate. They are not just servicing our school district. They have multiple districts in multiple states. They are aligned to the state standards. We are very excited, very happy about it. Our teachers were a part of that committee. We're very pleased with what this product is. So again, while we have the overview, we do not have a way to enroll students prior to this to go ahead and test this out. It doesn't, I appreciate that question, but we really don't have that opportunity. What we can provide is what we did provide, which is an overview of what that program looks like. And then obviously watch that video and take a look at it. And then you need to actually look at what's going on. I will tell you, we've had very, very few elementary students in the program. The ones that we've had in the past have done very well in the online program. Our secondary students are predominantly the ones who are in the online program, and they seem to be doing incredibly well as well with regard to it. So I wish I could give you more specifics with that, but I'm not sure that I necessarily can.
Let me expand on that a little bit. My background, I have been teaching online since 2006. I've not only taught online, I've created courses, I write courses, I've taught from kindergarten all the way up to teachers. And being K-12 certified, I know what to look for with online classes. And the committee that was put together were also people that have taught online, that have developed courses. This just wasn't a willy-nilly decision. We worked with people to make sure that we knew what we were looking for.
Thank you, Mrs. Brooks.
I don't see any other questions.
Okay, well, thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to be with us today. We certainly appreciate it. We hope that you found this informational session very informative. We know you're making a very difficult situation in a very challenging and fluid time. I can reassure you that North Hills School District, whether you choose the online academy or whether you choose to send your child back to school for in-person education, is deeply committed to health, safety, and well-being of our students, of our staff, and continuing to provide the very best educational opportunities possible. So please continue to check back to the website and look for information regarding the online academy. As I said, we continue to update the FAQs pretty much on a daily basis. And as more information becomes available, as we finalize certain decisions, we will certainly share that information with you as well. Thank you so, so much for your patience. We are definitely trying to take our time as much as we possibly can to make the best possible decisions and choices. And I know in certain situations we have not been definitive yet. I promise you that time is coming, and we look forward to seeing you back in school in some way, shape, or form as soon as possible. Thank you so much and have a great day.